Gonna make an upgrade to the Paramotor today. I'll show you what's up. These are called swing arms, and the wing attaches to these swing arms here, and they hold a lot of your weight. Now, some people, like, this is a Jesus bolt, right? If it goes, just start praying. It gets a lot of attention in the paramotor world. There's different ways to handle this connection, and this to me is one of the better ways. I'll show you up close in a minute. These arms, it's possible to bend these. When I was doing wing overs and asymmetric spirals and some other little things, everything was cool. And everything still is cool, but I've been working towards SATs. SATs is one of the more aggressive, like, G-pulling maneuvers you can do on a paramotor. Kyle Mooney, who is an instructor and mechanic at Aviator PPG, said, hey, if you're doing SATs, you should get acro bars. So that planted the seed. And then I'm doing another SIV course. I forget what SIV stands for, it's French. But if you watch all my videos, you've seen me do one in a paragliding harness. You grab the lines that hold the wing, you pull them down, it collapses, and you snap back into place. It's pretty cool. Basically, it's a disaster recovery course, and if you're interested, a little acro training. Well, this time I'm doing it on a paramotor, which isn't as common, and I'm pretty excited about that. But the fact that I have that coming up, and then I'm working with SATs, and that at like 198, 197 on a good day, pounds, I'm kind of towards the heavyweight side of guys who do acro. I decided to get the acro arms. They're not cheap. It's $400 for these two things. Another way to get these offset, rather than having a fairly complex bend in this thing, is to put a spacer here. But that worries me, actually, because I worry that this bolt, if there's a gap, like the lever, that it would want to do that to it and break the bolt, right? Whereas if it's solid on here, the motion is really just pulling against the bolt, which is the direction in which it's really strong. So I just have a fear that if you put a spacer there, the way that that bolt works, the length of the bolt, it takes away from some of the strength of it, which is probably fine for most pilots, but I like to get jiggy with it, so I like this to be connected and stronger. And of course it slides like that, but all you're doing is a shear on that bolt as opposed to like a wrenching it, you know, because of the way they're close together. I'm gonna mark these so I can copy that on the next one. These bolts are kind of troublesome to get to. And then I don't know why, but I feel like I have to maintain them more than other pilots. Just for whatever reason, it seems like they loosen up on me more than they do other people. The motor's been really good to me. I've had one breakage so far. It has 150 hours. What went bad was the Bendix spring on the starter. So I inspected this bolt somewhere around 125 hours to see what kind of wear it had, and it looked really good. So we're gonna take another look at it right now. So here is the bolt on the hood of my wife's dirty car, and it looks pretty good. I'm guessing right around here, sorry about my fingers, is where the weight goes. But even there, like, this does not strike me as a bolt that's not holding up to the wear. It's just kind of clean on the threads there, and that's about it. So there you have it. Simple matter of taking this guy off and match it with what I had before. Oh, this thing. This thing is great. And most paramotors have this guy right here. Not a big deal. But I will say, Blackhawk owners, I don't know if your paramotor's not coming with this safety clip that keeps it from backing out, or if it does come with it and you're not installing it. But I swear I see it so much on your Blackhawks. People don't have these little safety rings installed. And if you're depending on human perfection, goodness gracious, to pre-flight every bolt, like a Jesus bolt like this one, then you're depending on the wrong thing. So put a little key ring through this so that it can't back out. All right, been trying to frame this right, trying to simultaneously show you up close and far away. I talked about this guy being the Jesus bolt, and it does support some weight. It's important when the wing suspends you here, this is part of it, but it seems like most of it is this strap and this seat, this part right here, this part right here. That's why this ring is so important to me, and make sure that this can't back out. This can't spin with that ring in there. Here's where your weight is. It's huge. All right, just for fun, I'm gonna weigh the old and the new bars. So here are the original bars. They should be lighter, I expect. And it is 285 grams or 10 ounces. And then here are the newer, like heavy duty ones. And it is 13 1/4 ounces or 376 grams. So they are different. Okay, the other way you can tell the difference is in the wall thickness. Don't know how well you can see in camera how the left one is thicker, but I'll measure it. I'm getting just under 1.5 millimeters, and this guy, that seems like a big difference. About 2 1/3 millimeters. All right, I got this guy on, but not in place yet. And now I'm just putting the rest together. This, of course, goes behind my reserve bridle. If the reserve bridle was in here and it wrapped around, nah, you don't want that. A little lubricant washer type thing, and then we'll put the new bar in place. Just like that. All right, that looks good, but I'm gonna spend probably a whole minute and a half just staring at it to see if anything's different from the other side. All right, looks like I did everything right. I tightened this up with some pliers because, you know, if she's tight before I got there, she should be tight after I leave. Don't kid yourself, gentlemen. You're not that big a deal. Now I've done one side and I'm gonna do the other. I am all finished. Bars are on. I pre-flighted it. I might do 2 pre-flights just to make sure I have my act together. But so I think I'm gonna send it. I think I'm too old to say send it, but the weather's not bad. It's not great. The trouble with North Carolina is if the wind on the ground is even like 4 or 5 miles an hour, the winds aloft are like 20. And that's the case today. It's like 18 miles an hour up there. But it looks nice. I can go over 18 miles an hour and I want to play with it. So also it's December and there's not that many days of great weather here. So when it's flyable, you fly.
All right, should be an easy launch. I've got a small amount of headwind. I just need to time it right because the wind's not blowing a real consistent direction.
A little more crosswind than headwind, but I saved it. It's all good. Let's go flying.
All right, interesting weather today. So if I look this way, I'm kind of right at it or above it, but everything is covered with this layer of haze and moisture, and that's uncommon. It's not usually like this. I don't know what to make of it. If you look up a little higher, do you see how once you get to that layer, all the clouds are like smeared across the top? Like they're not puffy, they're flat, and that tells me that the winds aloft are high. So that when the clouds get that level, boom, the winds are knocking them long and thin. If you look over this way, check this out. Again, with like the moisture layer underneath it. But here we have this layer of clouds with a real abrupt like wall in the front. Sometimes that would make me nervous if it was a cloud front or a wind front, but I don't think that's what I'm looking at, 1. And 2, I'm pretty sure that weather system is moving away. The wind is going that way, and that way is east, which is the way most weather systems here go. So I think that thing is headed away from me, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to grow as a pilot, and understanding weather is one where I'm still working on it. I think pilots with much more experience than me are still learning more about the weather all the time. If things are awesome, like I think they're going to be, then we should have enough clouds here to get a pretty stellar sunset, and I'm looking forward to that.
All right, sorry about the throttle talking, but interesting weather.
I gained another, say, 1,000 feet of altitude, and now it's getting bumpy. Not this second, but it's been bumpy. That tells me that I'm at the shear level, like where those clouds are. I think I'm right at that altitude, where the weather system close to the ground changes, and we go to a weather system that starts at about 3,100 feet. So, I don't know. This is interesting stuff to me. Getting bumpy because I'm changing from that hazy weather down there to this other layer up here. Also, visibility's real far up here. Not to the ground, but like air to air, it's super clear up here. Well, since I have all this altitude, I'm gonna mess around with asymmetric spirals to the right just a little bit. I'm not gonna go big, I don't think, because I just feeling mild today. And if I'm feeling mild, let's listen to that. Just for fun, right? There's no need to go huge or anything. Although this is pretty big. Alright, I'm going to start calming them down because I'm starting to lose altitude. Just chill. I really like doing that. Gonna mess around a little bit more, see how this goes. And with asymmetric spirals, I find the first turn is really important, because if you don't start kind of big, you'll never go big. Wingovers, on the other hand, tend to build energy, and I find I can start slow and go as big as I want to later, depending on how I'm feeling it. I find it pretty easy to go big on a wingover. Yeah. Whereas with the spiral, I feel like I really earn it. Probably needed more outside brake on that one. Alright, let's slow it down. Cool, cool. My favorite measure is, did you do what you were trying to do? You know, if everything you did was what you had in mind, nailed it. And the risk with that, I will say, is if you don't call it in advance, it's kind of easy to be like, that's what I meant to do. But that is what I meant to do, I promise. I still don't know what it is. Some sort of forklift? Yes. Some sort of forklift. Yeah, see, I'm getting bumped around, so I don't want to have to... When you foot drag, you have, I don't know, 6 inches, 3 inches of room to play with. And I'm getting smacked around, so I don't know that I could compensate for that. We'll keep our risk low. Fly at treetop height-ish. Man, this is so amazing. I know. There are things in this world that are amazing to do, but they're not amazing to watch. And, you know, unless you're doing something interesting or saying something interesting, paramotoring probably falls into that. But my goodness, I wish all of you could do this with me. Like, look! This is incredible! I'm flying above the trees in the sky, one weather system to the next, buzzing around. This is amazing. I hope you're seeing this sunset. It's nice. Alright, I don't think I've done any asymmetric to the left today. Or maybe I have. I don't know. I'll do right, because I'm not as good at right. And this is left. Let's get jiggy with it. Nice use of weight shift, outside brake, killing it. But I'm gonna chill there. I'm feeling good. Come back towards the house. Nailed it. Shane Denherter does this series where it teaches you how to do acro at flyhalo.com or knowledge.flyhalo.com. Anyway, one of the things they ask you to be able to do is choose your direction when you come out of a spiral or maneuver like that. And it's interesting because they mention it a couple of times. And even when I was a lot less experienced than I am right now, I'm like a solid intermediate pilot, I think. Sunset. I always found that easy. It surprises me a little bit that he stresses it so much, because I think that aspect is pretty straightforward. Now where should I land? I'm going to try and pick my landing spot, but I'm going to wait until I have a good vibe on, like I want to get a sight on my windsock. So I think it's safer to land on the other side of my driveway. I think I'm going to put it down pretty close to the windsock, between my house and the windsock. That's about my target. So there it is. You've heard me call my spot. We'll see how well I can do. This is something I do pretty much every landing, call my spot, and I'll just choose where I want to land, make an agreement with myself not to touch the throttle. I think I'm still high. Shucks! And once I've agreed not to touch the throttle, I think I'm gonna cut in front of this house. See how close I can come to hitting my spot. Today, I'm bringing the suck. So let's bring in some S-turns. Try to suck less. Alright. Not too bad. It's chasing me. All right. I may have had a slight tailwind, which would explain the slight overshoot. But hey, that was not a bad landing. I will take that every time. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I like making it.
Multi-million-dollar deals, got $1 million deal. When I was younger, I would wonder how $1 million feel. And for real, it feel like I ain't even broke a seal. Cause when you drop hits, they want you to pick up the bill. Now my life is in Maryland, my heart is in Chicago. New York state of mind, but out LA, man, that's where I go. When I need to lay this shit down, so much on my mind, that's the reason I'm spitting now.